Welcome, everybody, to today's Building My Legacy podcast. I have with me Sonna Johns. She is a life coach. She specializes in a number of things coming out of the corporate world, working in television and advertising, working with the auto industry, and comes from Michigan, and so has a strong background in that. And as she went through that, realized that there were people who could benefit from um, learning how to navigate this world with challenging people, with divorce, with pulling all the pieces together that we're all dealing with right now, virtually working and having children at home, some of us. And so, Sana, before I get too much into this, I want you to introduce yourself, tell a little bit about your background, and then we'll get started.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for having me, Lois. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here. So my name is Sonna Johns, and I am from Michigan. And my background includes, for several years, I was in training and facilitation. I also did a lot of television work. I was in marketing and advertising in the corporate world for over 10 years, sales, account management. So I have a lot of experience with the corporate type environment and also more the competitive environment being, television and media and that kind of thing. And through those years, I have had a share of a few challenging situations, whether it be personal relationships or in the workplace as well. And what I found is from all of those circumstances, I would, find a way to handle it, to get out of it, or to seek some help or workshops or therapy or what have you. And a few of them got to be real struggles, and that was later on. So I have married for 13 years. I have two incredible boys, big hearts, and have been divorced for 14 years. And so a few of my most recent challenges kind of catapulted me into my life coaching. And one of them was in the workplace, in the corporate world, and also another one was in a personal relationship. And so from those challenges, again, I found the right help and guidance and did all the work to really kind of get myself out of it, because a lot of things were negative. There were a lot of negative situations, a lot of negative people, hurtful people. And one of the things that I coach on quite a bit, which seems to be top of mind for a lot of people these days, specifically women, is dealing with negativity, dealing with people that are just they're worried about their job, they're worried about the backstabbing, they're worried about their relationships, they're just dealing with a lot of negativity, and being around that negativity can really wear on you over time. And then it also causes us to second guess ourselves, because sometimes we're led to believe that maybe we're the ones with the problem, but really we aren't in most cases. We're just maybe not surrounding ourselves with the right type of positivity. So my coaching focuses a little bit more on dealing with difficult relationships, whether it be friendships, family, personal, and business, dealing with the adversity of what's going on in the world today and how to overcome that through self care, through a spiritual practice, through having a strong support system, which I think is really, really important, especially during these times. And I kind of fell into this niche recently with COVID, that most of the women that I'm working with are working from home. They don't go to their offices anymore, and they're confined. And some of them are recently divorced. They're alone. They're dealing with, shuffling kids back and forth. They don't have the luxury of going into an office and, greeting people and being around social people and being able to travel for their jobs. So because of that, people tend to be down. They're just, it's just not, I'm sure people can relate. It's just not the same. So, what can we do to stay ahead of that? What can we do to keep our head above water and be grateful for what we do have, and find a way to be involved in self-care for ourselves so that we can overcome some of this adversity, negativity, and all the changes that are going on right now.
I think that's such a hugely important issue right now. And As you talk with people, what are some of the insights that you share in terms of what can you do right now to manage life the way it is?
Right. Well, I think having a gratitude journal or some type of gratitude practice is very important. I think that it sets the vibrational, like your vibration higher in the morning. Like if you were to get up every morning and just say what you're grateful for, and it could be just having a roof over your head. It could be your health. It could be your kids that they're doing great. It could be the fact that you're able to still keep your job, even though so many people are so unhappy about having to work at home and be confined. At the same time, they have to look at the fact that they're working because there's a lot of people out there that aren't working or their jobs are in jeopardy. And so to have a practice of gratitude, to have a practice of self care, and that means a regimen of what you would do on a daily basis for you. So that might be setting some time for meditation and prayer in the morning or going for a walk in fresh air, which I think is really, I mean, that really helps a lot, is just to get the fresh air, get your feet on the ground, get out in nature is huge. Exercise, yoga, also, I think that giving back, even though we feel like we need things now because of the times we're going in, if we can find it within ourselves to give back to other people and call people that are struggling or call a friend that might be having a hard time or giving to somebody that we're able to give to, whether it's time, money, service, I think that all those things create our self-worth. It strengthens our self-worth and it keeps us on a healthier track. So those are some of the things I'd start with.
It's interesting you talk about giving back, because it's been a few years back, a friend of mine had lost a child. And one of the first things that her pastor did for her was to get her involved in the soup kitchens, feeding the homeless.
Mhm.
And the pastor's comment was, you will heal much faster if you start giving back and you
Yes,
see other needs and you're meeting them. And, we forget that that's a part of growth and healing and
mhm.
a very important component of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's that whole law of attraction thing. I mean, it really is true. What we give out, we give back. So if we're going to give out non-positive things or negativity, we're probably going to get some of that back in some way, shape, or form at some time, at some point. But if we give out, kindness, forgiveness, loving, it doesn't mean put up with things that you shouldn't. So I don't want to misconstrue that. But it means giving back, giving to people, maybe taking things a little less personal. And the more that we give out, give of ourselves and give back and be kind to people, in turn, we will get it back to ourselves. So it equals abundance, prosperity, and peace.
So, Sana, it sounds easy and it sounds logical, right? So,
Mhm.
what keeps people from being able to do that?
Well, you're right. It isn't always easy, but it's important to remember that even though we go off the track, doesn't mean we can't get right back on. And most of the time, we're going to go off track. So if we stay on the path most of the time and do all the right things, try to do things, give back, be grateful, self care, do what we need to do. There's going to be times when we might be thrown off, but as long as you're aware of it, you just get yourself right back on. I mean, one of the things I really believe in is that people, they're so hard on themselves and they have to allow themselves to be real, to feel. I never say don't feel the pain, just don't feel it for too long. Okay. So if you're going through a crisis, you set aside a portion of your day where you're going to be sad about it, be upset about it, frustrated. But you don't want to let it consume you where it keeps you from being uh, healthy in other areas or happy in other areas. It limits you. So when we think negatively or we go in that space of lack, if you will, it creates more lack. So we have to kind of get ourselves out after a certain time and get back on track. So it's okay to do that is what I like to tell people because it's not easy. People say, "Oh, it's really great. You say think positive all the time, this and that." Well, listen, I'm the first to tell you that it is not easy and you will go off track. But the beauty is that you have a choice, and the choice is to get right back on track. And over time, it will become a behavior where you don't even think twice about it. And you may go off track, but boom, you're right back on track. The key is to catch yourself in that time frame and shift your thoughts to a healthier thought. And that could be going out for a walk. It could be calling a loved one. If I call my kids, if I'm having a tough time, and I don't dump on them, I'm just like, hey, I just want to hear their voice. I just want to see their face. FaceTime them, right? And so whatever works for whoever they are, but just shift your mind process to something that's a healthier thought, and don't stay in that hole too long.
Right now, with all of what women are navigating, and I think men too, we tend to say it's women, but there are men who are navigating the same. If they're um, parents, or the parent that is caretaking for the child or children, they've got the issue of how do you keep all these balls in the air and feel like you're doing a good job at all of it, right?
Mhm.
Because you feel like you have to do a good job at work. You have to, but it's harder to have what you do be visible because you're not there. You don't make comments about what you're working on. So,
Right.
how are you helping people navigate this right now?
Well, you can only do what you can do and be the best you can be and try to the best of your ability. We're not going to be perfect. And I think organizing your day would help. Setting intentions is very important. So if you set an intention that you want to get certain things done that day or that week, trying to abide by that so that you feel like you have some kind of structure and you're on track. Um, People judge themselves all the time on their productivity. And I just did a post on this recently that it's really not supposed to be our scorecard, like how productive we are. It's supposed to be like how we handle things ourselves so that we can keep up our self-care and how we can give to others. Again, back to the giving to others, our families, our friends, whatever. And I think that gives us an overall sense of being able to stay on track and feel good about ourselves. Because when we get too caught up in being productive and being the best mom and being the best worker and being the best this, we have to look at the things that are most important. What's the most important thing? I mean, most people will say it's their family, like most. But again, it's up to the individual. But I think you focus on what's most important and try not to judge yourself that much and see the fact that we are all worthy and again, that worthiness comes from being grateful. And the more you practice the gratitude, the more you'll feel like, okay, this is good. You'll feel the positivity. And then you'll feel like, okay, you are getting somewhere, that I am a good mom. I am this, I am that. And I don't know if that completely answers your question because it's a lot deeper because there are people that are so much harder on themselves than others. But we can only do what we can do and be there for ourselves, number one, because we need to fill our cup so that we're able to fill others. And I totally believe that. So that we have to love ourselves first. It all starts within. And then we're able to love others. And you can still do it while you're learning to love yourself. You can reach out, you can help, you can give, you can send a good note, you can check on people, you can send a gift, whatever you want to do. But it all starts from like within.
Go back to what you were saying about the corporate world and the challenges that you've experienced, that women, I think, often experience in the corporate world of being not noticed sometimes, not being heard, being challenged. Sometimes there's discrimination that people have experienced, right? I hear it from many different sectors. I'm hearing it now also from men who are feeling like they're becoming discriminated against. So,
Mhm.
how is it that you begin to deal with? Let me ask you with that. I want to hear how you suggest to people how to deal with it. But I also want to hear from you. Are people ready to heal in these areas, do you think?
Are they ready to heal? Is that
Heal.
what you asked me?
Yes.
Heal. Mhm. Well, it's a different situation when it's work and relationships, right? Because in relationships, we can set firmer boundaries. Relationships at work are a little bit different, especially with bosses and people that we work with. I am a firm believer in setting boundaries though, like knowing your limits. You have to know your limits. And again, this will increase your self-worth, your confidence, and help you to feel very self-empowered. In the corporate world, it's a little more delicate, obviously, because we're all walking on pins and needles to some degree, and we have to be somewhat respectful, obvious of our the people that we work with or work for. But again, I think that boundaries help, knowing your limits, having a strong support system at that job. And what it really comes down to is just doing a great job, the best you can do. I mean, staying focused and not allowing the outside forces, the negativity, the backstabbing, any of that to affect you. Almost like, just tunnel vision, totally focus and be the best you can be. Because at the end of the day, that's all you can really do because we can't control others. We can only control ourselves. I know it's the cliche, but it's so true. So if we just do the best we can do, be ethical, be respectful, set our boundaries, great self-care, do an awesome job at our job. If anything else happens, it's really out of our control. We can only control what we're doing ourselves. So I think that's important. And as far as healing during this time, I think that it's by default that people are having to heal right now because there's a lot of changes going on right now, but I do think there's some positive things, a lot of positive things that have come out of this, and I've heard it from people. So they're finding
I
ways to
want
adapt. And again, it's all in how you look at things. It's your attitude. How do you look at everything? How do you view things? Things are not going to stay like this forever. They're a little rough right now. They're different, let's say right now. But it's not going to be forever. We're going to fall into a groove, and we just have to have that mindset.
So tell me, what are the good things that people find are coming out of this right now?
I think that people are, obviously becoming closer with their family, closer relationships with their kids, realizing what's really important and realizing that no matter how much money you have, honestly, we all had the same restrictions. So, just I think ex- enjoying and appreciating the things that maybe money can't buy, right? So, doing outdoor barbecues, going on the boat, whatever, going for walks, going with our family, learning to paint, learning more about music, going within, reflecting. Self reflection is a huge thing that's come out of this, with even a lot of my clients and myself personally, is self reflection. Like, really thinking about what's important in life. Who do we want to surround ourselves with? What do we want in the near future? What's going to bring us peace and joy and love in our life? Because things are going to be a little different. So I think that all of those things have helped a lot. And mainly people just have gotten to know themselves a little bit more, and maybe it's not all so good, but I think some of those people are working through it too. So personal growth, appreciation, gratitude, family friendships, and also friendships with our friends. So this last summer, there was really not much to do other than, get together in distance and be with friends and with very casual type, nothing extravagant situations, which worked out fine. Everybody has had a great time.
I think for me, that has probably been one of the most important is that we have, prior to COVID, got into the habit of going places, spending money to have fun. And
Mhm.
suddenly you realized fun has to come from within and what
Yes.
you share with one another. And so if you don't build that and create it, when you need it, you don't have it.
Right. Because when you take away all of the outer layers, then you have you. So it's important that you feel good, have high self worth, feel good, feel at peace, and you have close loved ones near you because all those outer layers of all the things we can do and buy and travel to and everything else, well, you take away all those. And like you said, what do you have left? Yourself.
Yep. And in the end, we have to live with ourselves and, as you say, either like ourselves or not. And if we come to that point and discover we don't like ourselves, we're in tough, tough shape, aren't we?
Yes, but that sometimes we have to get to that point to make a shift and and learn to grow and like ourselves. You know what I mean? I mean, people get to those points because something else needs to happen.
I think that is such an important point. It's never too late because sometimes you talk yourself into, well, it's been this way forever. It's
Mhm.
too late. I can't do anything differently. And no matter where you are in life or how old you are, it's never too late. There's always a new chapter that can be created.
Yes, I agree.
Sana, our time is coming to a rapid close, but before we end, what are things that you have seen that as you've worked with people, that you see are really important for people to think about that we haven't talked about yet that you would like to share?
Well, I think that we've talked about most of the important things. The one thing that I don't think I shared, which I think is important, especially if you do need to get yourself out of kind of a rut or this adversity, is finding a strong support system and being. It's very important to be, and that means accountability, whether it's a therapist, a coach, support group, whatever it is, best friend. It's important because we're feeling isolated, very isolated in these times. So strong faith, being accountable, finding the things that you're grateful for. And again, we have talked about these things. I mean, I think we've covered pretty much all of the very important things. And I can't say that I've missed anything else. But I will say that you can do it. It's all with a positive mindset. You know, watch inspirational things, read inspirational books, find your faith that works with you or your meditation that works with you, and find what gives you inner peace because it all starts within. There's just no way around it. No way around it.
Let's start within. And, I think that's where also sometimes getting help can do mountains and mountains of good. It can shorten that process of getting through something or over something.
Right, right. Just the support of having, I mean, even with my clients, they love the support. They have somebody that they can actually talk to and vent to on a weekly basis and find tools of what to do with it. It's not just a venting or a therapy. It's not even. It's what are we going to do to move forward this week? You know, what are the things that have worked and what can we do now? And people need that support system because we're not out going to brick and mortar buildings every day like we used to, you know?
That is so true. We are getting out to places and yeah, and getting that help. I think the other thing I've realized is so many people have superficial support systems, but not deep support systems. So to really share deeply and to get that help becomes more difficult for many. And so just knowing to move ahead.
Yeah, just knowing they have a support system, it's confidential, and that there's no judgment at all can help people so much. I mean, I've seen it happen with people I've worked with. I mean, just tremendous things have happened where they just, they discover that they really do have value and that they really can get out of this isolated situation and that there is hope.
On that note, that there is hope, we will end this.
Okay.
Sana, thank you so much for your time and for being with us on Building My Legacy podcast today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for watching my video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell button above. Leave comments. We'd love to hear what you think. And visit our other social media links as well. Thanks much.